From our studios in beautiful Mandan, North Dakota, along the mighty Missouri River, here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
Good morning. Does your internet seem like it's getting slower and slower?
Yeah.
Are you frustrated
It does.
trying to remember all those passwords? Does your phone run out of power before the end of the day? We're going to give some suggestions to help with these problems and much more. Got a guest today, Amanda Arnold at Onyx Point. Will be talking about open source software. Good morning, Jim.
Morning. We should point out, you're not Marlo.
I'm not Marlo. I thought we'd go halfway through the show and let him try to figure that out.
Yeah.
Anyway, in the studio today, I have a guest, Doug Phelps.
Hello, everybody.
He'll be helping me out. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Doug, what do you do?
Oh, I work over at National Day Calendar, handle the website and a lot of the updates there. And what else do? I put on Twitter parties and Facebook Live parties. It's just a lot of fun.
What's a Twitter party?
Twitter party basically, say today is Kahlua Day, National Kahlua Day, and you use the hashtag National Kahlua Day, and we just chat back and forth.
Very nice.
And at the control panel, we have the extraordinary Jim Walsh.
Hello.
And Jim,
Yeah.
the question today is, did you watch the Academy Awards?
Oh, I heard all about it. The guy had one job. Take this envelope, this envelope, this one right here, hand it to Warren Beatty. One job.
One job.
It's like going to McDonald's, you know. You ever get your order right?
Exactly.
Must be the same guy.
Same guy.
Probably the same guy.
Yeah, you know, I don't know. They're pointing a lot of fingers at.
Kid, you'll never hand out envelopes in this town again.
But the one lady she said she had the envelope with the best actress,
Right.
and that there was no way Warren Beatty could have gotten it.
Oh, boy. Oh, man.
Conspiracy, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, something's going on.
There'll be years sorting this one out.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't watch it, but I heard about it after the news flash and on Facebook and all of that. It's amazing how fast that blows up.
It is amazing.
Anyway, have you seen any of the movies that were there?
No, I must be honest. And this is, for the first time in a long while, I can truly say I haven't seen any of them. I didn't plan it that way. But, life just kind of has a way of flying by when you're doing other things.
Yeah, I have no idea what they were about.
I'd like to see a couple of them.
Yeah. I guess La La Land is a musical.
That's what I hear.
Yeah, well, that's way bottom on my list.
Yeah, I'm not big on musicals.
Yeah. Anywho, what else you got going on?
What else have I got going on? Well, let's see. Waiting for the weather to turn, finally. It started to turn for a while there, and then it turned back
Which
again.
way do you want it to turn?
I wanted to turn for the warmer. The brighter and the warmer.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the forecast now is for it to be a little cold the rest of this week.
Yeah, the rest of the week is going to be, I think Friday it's supposed to get up to about 45.
There you go.
Yeah, I can handle
And of course, by the time we get to Friday, it could be a different forecast. You never know.
I guess we're supposed to get some snow, too.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And you know about Lyft, right? We have Lyft in town finally.
Okay.
Lyft is in Bismarck.
Is that like Uber?
It's apparently a very similar service.
And how does it work?
Basically, you get an app, and you can use the app for one of two things. You can either become a driver, whereas they notify you when somebody needs a ride, and then you can take them and you get paid. I think you get paid through PayPal, don't you?
I believe so.
I believe so.
Yeah. Okay, I got a couple of questions on that.
And the other thing is that if you need a ride, you get the app, and you can do it that way too. Either way.
Okay. How do they screen, like, the drivers? Can anybody become a driver? Is there some kind of screening process?
The one thing I know about is that the car has to be can't be any older than a certain age. I think 2005 is the current cutoff point.
Okay.
Which means I couldn't do it because I've got an old Pontiac Bonneville from 1993. No joke.
Really?
My last car died, and I just grabbed this. It had like $1,200 in the bank.
Yeah.
So we said, what can we get for $1,200? And I knew a guy, he has a garage, and he had this thing sitting in his garage. It needed a little fixing up. But for $1,200, we walked out the door with it. We drove out the door with it.
So you sign up and you become an Uber driver, or not Uber, Lyft.
Yeah.
Lyft driver. And then your phone goes off.
Yeah.
And it says so-and-so wants a ride.
Yeah, it's like a taxi dispatch thing where they call you up and they say, okay, this so-and-so needs a ride from here to here.
Okay.
And can you get it? And you say yes, and you go and you give that person the ride. And supposedly all the payment is handled through PayPal or a similar service.
So you just put it in the app, yeah.
Right, yeah.
I wonder how the taxi cabs and the bus service
they're not happy about it.
They're not happy, huh?
Well, in this town we had a near monopoly situation for so many years with the one taxi service, and now we're seeing more of them coming. And then on top of that, we've got Lyft now. Okay. They can't be happy.
What about, are the prices compatible? Like
that I'd have to look into. I was wondering about that. I looked at the website. I'm still trying to figure out how to work the website. It's got all these buttons for places you can push if you want to become part of it. But I don't want to necessarily be part of it. I just want to, I didn't see like an FAQ page there, which you would think they would have.
Yeah, you think.
And I did that on my iPhone. Maybe I'll have better luck with the desktop.
I see. Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder, if you went on there, is it 24/7? Are there people always willing to give you a ride?
Theoretically, it's supposed to be 24/7. That as long as there's somebody available who's willing to do it, that they can give you a ride, yeah.
Well, that'd be darn.
3 in the morning. Huh. Well, this is becoming more and more a 24/7 society, even here.
Yes.
We have a lot of people who pull the all-night shift at convenience stores and radio stations, certainly. And even some of the manufacturing. We don't have a lot here, but we have some, and I would imagine some of that is done on the third shift, as we used to call it.
Yeah. Interesting.
I used to like working the all-night shift.
What was that from what time?
That'd be like from 10p to 6a.
Really?
Yeah.
See,
you're kind of out of the mainstream of things. You don't have to deal with a lot of the, the happy horse malarkey that you deal with during the day with the office people.
I see.
And, things tend to be a little more relaxed.
Laid back, huh?
Yeah. And you get a little, sometimes some places will give you like a little differential, a little extra money supposedly for the stress of having to work the all-night shift, although I never found it really that stressful.
Yeah, I guess the closest I got to that was I was a rural mailman for about a year. And I'd get up at 3 in the morning.
Yeah, well, I've done that too.
And go over there and sort the mail and then work till noon and then supposedly go home and go to bed, and I wouldn't,
Yeah.
Stay up all till late and then you get a little short of sleep.
Yeah.
Well, Doug, what do you think of Lyft?
It's going to be interesting. I used to drive taxi here in town.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Okay.
So
there you go.
The drivers themselves might be excited. It's an opportunity for them to step over and pick up a few extra bucks in the evening or in their off shift and that type of thing.
So you're thinking the taxi drivers, when they're off, will sign up for Lyft and do a little moonlighting?
I would bet you they will, yes.
Interesting. I never thought of that. And the bus drivers, too?
The bus drivers are a different breed, but
Ralph crammed it out there. Come on, Alice. Come on. Come on, moon now.
So how long were you driving taxi?
2.5 years.
Wow.
Yeah. It was fun. A lot of fun.
Yeah. You meet a lot of people.
A lot of good people out there. Yeah.
We have to take a break.
Okay. We'll be right back with our guest, Amanda Arnold.
On the Tech Ranch.
Currently 15.
The home for ABC News at the top of the hour is SuperTalk 1270.
Follow the Guru of Geek at Facebook.com/The Tech Ranch or Twitter at Guru of Geek or TheTechRanch.com. Here again is your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
No, it's not Marlo. It's actually Mr. Ressler. Sheriff Nick, as we like to call him.
Nick.
and his faithful sidekick, Deputy Doug. Not Phil, Deputy Doug. Why did I call you Phil? Oh, I know why. Because your last name is Phelps.
There you go. Yeah.
And it's the pH thing, the pH factor. That's why.
pH factor.
Okay, is Amanda on?
Yeah, you're on.
Hello, Amanda.
Hi there.
I'm sitting in for Marlo. He had kind of a little emergency. His daughter lives in Minot, it's about 100 miles from here, and she's going to have a baby. So
Oh,
he
that's
headed
wonderful
up
news.
to
Yeah, it
welcome
is.
the new grandchild.
And the news came.
Is it a boy or a girl? Do they know?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. So are
Anyway,
the
thank you
geezer
for your
then
service.
filling in? Is that with whom I'm speaking?
Pardon me?
She asked if you were the geezer.
All right.
No, I'm not the geezer. The geezer.
Not the
Where is
geezer.
the geezer?
He's around here somewhere. He'll
now
probably
and then-
pop in at some
Every now
point.
and then he sneaks in.
Yeah.
Usually hangs out. He's out there.
Usually at a very inopportune moment.
Yeah. Anyway,
Okay,
Amanda,
and
thank you for your
Is that Doug on the
service.
line also?
Yes, that's Doug.
Yeah, Doug.
I'm right here.
All right.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I am the marketing and communications director for Onyx Point Inc. They're a small company based out of Maryland. They do system security and automation using Puppet and other technologies for large-scale infrastructures in both government and commercial environments. So my background is that I was in the United States Air Force, and I did communications for them. And then I switched into tech marketing and communications, and I did some IT efficiencies kind of things, which was my first introduction into free and open source software, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And then I jumped over to more of a commercial role to help Onyx Point to support their open source product, which is called SIMS.
Well, thank you for your service.
Thanks for thanking me.
Okay, let's talk about open source. I know a little bit about that from Open Office or,
Sure, yeah.
or Linux and Android. Is that considered open source?
I think so. I'm not sure. That's a good question. I think so.
Okay, so like open source, is that? Let's use Open Office for example. It's free,
Okay.
and
It is free.
so who decides to do this? I mean, is there an
Okay, so-
organization of people out there that they say we're going to build some software and we want a bunch of help, and it's open source? Now, open source is usually free, right?
It is usually free. There are sometimes enterprise versions of open source software where people can pay to have support.
Oh, I see.
That's more of a guaranteed support. Usually with an open source platform, it comes with community-supported products, meaning that the people who use it and the developers who contribute to it might be available to answer some questions. But if you need a guaranteed support, usually that's an enterprise version of a software.
Okay, and there'd be a fee for that.
Yes.
Okay.
So you were asking also about how things maybe get open source. There is the Open Source Initiative, which is opensource.org, and they are in a California-based nonprofit, and they essentially can. They have several licenses. They're very liberal licenses compared to what you would think of a commercial software product, meaning that usually they're free, and then also people can contribute and change and adapt the code themselves and then push those changes back into the product.
How do they control that? I mean,
How?
if you've got a bunch of people out there coding on their own, at some point it has to come together and work, right?
Right. So there are technologies in place. People use GitHub or GitLab in order to make a control mechanism and kind of pull all of those contributions together. So as an independent person, just one person, I can take this little chunk of code or the piece of the project that I would like to work on or that I've already worked on, maybe in my own environment, and I can adapt it and make changes, and then I can push them back through in a process, a Git process or a Git workflow. And then those changes, usually they abide by some set of rules that are in place that you can see in the community that you belong to, whether it's through the documentation or a README or a style guide or any of those things, to make sure that just from your own sense that your code meets those criteria and those standards. And then you push your changes back in and merge them with the rest of the community and the rest of the project. And then someone can go ahead and authorize those changes.
So a good example then, Amanda, would be the WordPress platform, where people could create new themes or plugins, and it all comes back in for the user side, where people would understand what you're describing a little bit better from the technical side.
Yes, and then usually a project will also have an interface or something like that where they would have tickets available. Gotcha. And those tickets would tell people in the community the things that they might need help with, or they might, want an extra eye on, or they, would like, you to develop a module or something like that. So that those things, it's not just, willy-nilly, go build something, although it could be, but it is standardized to a degree. It's just that it's using such a larger pool of people in order to collaborate on the same project, and therefore you get a lot of more creative contributions from the people who are using and working on the product together.
We each have different skills, whether it's from a programming standpoint or a design standpoint. So back to the tickets that you were talking about, if I needed help with programming an app, then somebody could come in and answer that ticket and help me out there. Does that make sense?
What was it? I'm sorry, you were cutting out a little bit. I apologize.
Basically, on the ticket side of things, I was describing that as you're being a programmer and I'm a designer, and if you needed some help on the front end of an app, then I could answer the ticket and work on that.
Exactly, just like that, right? So you could, the smaller you break up your tickets, the more likely it is that someone is able to pick it up and contribute to it in a way that is valuable in order to use their skill set.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about Free and Open Source Software Month.
So Free and Open Source Software Month was an idea that I came up with after actually visiting the National Calendar Day to work on our marketing and communications for both Onyx Point and SIMP. And I noticed that, we could put in for a holiday. And so I ran it by the owners at Onyx Point. We have 4 great owners, and they thought it was a great idea. So we went forward and put in a proposal for FOSS February, so a whole month dedicated to all of the methodologies behind open source, for open source contributors to, kind of shout out the projects that they love, for projects to get new people involved, for the open source initiative who assigns those licenses and is a nonprofit, for them to gain more members. It is a membership-based program, and just to sort of get the word out, because I do think that, as a marketing person in tech marketing, I sometimes go to events and there are misunderstandings about open source, about what it is. People might mistake it with maybe things that, if you think of a freemium model of software, they might confuse it with that sort of thing. They might think that it's incomplete or unavailable to work on, or that it's comparable, to something that's not secure. They have a lot of ideas, and open source has really changed. Mozilla would be a good example. I know you were talking about examples that people might just know off the top of their head. I think Linux and Mozilla are probably up there. But there have been so many changes in the open source world, especially with GitHub and everyone being able to contribute so easily, that I thought it would be a really good idea to have a platform that extended not just for Onyx Point, not just for our project, SIMP, but also across the whole open source community.
Okay, Amanda, we're running a little close to the clock here. Thank you, and we'll be back.
Currently 15.
News and Views with Joel Heitkamp. Weekdays on SuperTalk 1270.
We're back to the Tech Ranch. Stream this program now at supertalk1270.com. Here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
Actually, Marlo is out this week. There I go. Sometimes I get all excited and I forget to push the right buttons. But this is Jim Walsh, of course. The tech geezer is somewhere down the hallway. Maybe he'll be stopping in a little later. But right now, once again, here is Nick Ressler.
Hello, back again with Amanda Arnold from Onyx Point Incorporated, and Doug Phelps is also in the studio with Jim Welch. And Amanda, I have a question.
Sure.
When I look at LibreOffice or OpenOffice, and I look at Microsoft Office, wow, they're pretty close, and they work the same way. How do you keep from getting copyright laws and all of this stuff involved with that?
With how, are you saying that because they're so comparable and Microsoft is a commercial off-the-shelf product?
Yeah, you know, at what point does where do you cross the line? I guess I'm saying, when if I write some open source software, where am I not perceived as knocking off a commercial product?
I think that's a great question. I'm not really sure. I know on the open source side, that's where we work. So everything that is out there is usually under the Creative Commons license or some other license that whoever is the originator of the work is either, they either have to make attributions to that person or just note that person is the originator. It's a lot different than in a strictly enforced copyright environment.
So Amanda,
but I don't really know the answer to that question. I apologize.
That's okay. I guess
I would hope that ethically, developers and people are out there trying to create their own works and make them available to as many people as possible.
Right. So if I have a great idea for a program, then I'm going to choose whether I want to go commercially, or I could open it up to the creative community and just go commons with it. And I could make that choice at day one.
You could make that choice, and there are a lot of reasons that people choose to start a project in the open source. It's a lot easier. There's a little less buy-in for people, or a lot less buy-in, I guess. And so they can try it, and they can see and attempt to use it in their environment and make sure that it works before they make a commitment, whether in terms of staffing the people with certain skills needed to run that product, or with licensing or any of those things.
A question: is there ever a case where somebody writes open source software and it's really great, and they decide to turn it into a commercial product?
There are cases of that, yes. A lot of times what they'll do is they'll start open source, and then they either have certain features that they've paid for their own development and they would like to make those only on a commercial platform, or sometimes, like I said before, they'll do the support model on the commercial platform.
Yeah, I see that a lot. I downloaded some free software for cataloging music, and they offered me the pro version for $20. And with the pro version came support.
And that's what I was saying too. I would consider that more of like a freemium marketing model. And you see that happen a lot. So they will have a free version and then a premium version that has some feature in it that's not available in the free version of the software.
So it's not unethical or anything like that. You're taking a program and you're improving it, and you can market that improvement.
Not really. I don't think it's unethical. I think that a lot of times people use that marketing model in order to gain, seed adoption.
Mm-hmm. Earlier on, you were, Amanda, mentioning the misperception that open source software has with the people at large. Can you describe a little bit more about that as far as, are you overcoming that and helping people to see the greater benefits that open source software provides?
I think that this is a step in the right direction. Like I said, with things out there like Mozilla, Linux, a lot of the larger proven platforms that people know very well, and especially, I would say on the other side, on the development side, with so many development technologies in place in order to facilitate that Git workflow. With GitHub out there, the popularity is just getting, increasing, and I think that will develop over time. But yeah, even like I said, we do work with Puppet, and the Puppet open source community is thriving and doing well and very active. So I do think that it's a step in the right direction.
Question here. Most cars have computers, and if it has a computer, it has to have some form of software. Is that open source that runs in like appliances and all the things, your smart home and, I know the smartphones are.
So I think that, so you're talking about two things, right? So you have a hardware, some sort of hardware,
yep.
Whether it's a car or your refrigerator or,
yep.
Whatever. And then you have the software that is running. I would think that both of those things most likely are proprietary. Although I have heard with, we do meetups in the area, tech meetups and things like that. So I'm involved in the meetup community. And I did see one where they have hackathons on the Amazon Echo, I think. Is that the one that controls your home?
Uh-huh.
You're getting into the hardware technology of things. And I have to admit, as much as I love tech marketing and the IT side of things, I really don't. I don't have like a smart home at all or anything like that.
Well, I just this year got a smartphone, so I've been in the computer business 22 years and resisted getting one. But now I have one, and it talks to me.
Yeah, so I think that in most cases, I would guess, that would be my guess, is that it's proprietary software that's running on whatever hardware, it's controlling. And those things are becoming way more common, from hot water heaters to, like you said, your car or refrigerator, any of those things.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. She asked, how do you like the smartphone, Nick?
I would throw it away if it wasn't if it wasn't for the 16 megapixel camera that's on it, which is awesome. And I do take a lot of pictures, and it's so handy to have that. Just yesterday my grandkids were there, and they're there, and Grandpa has to take a picture. Well, then I'd have to go get the camera. Now I just whip out the phone and snap, snap, snap. And they're in Google Drive, and they're right there. And in fact, my granddaughter said, "Let me see it." So I just punched up the computer and punched up Google Drive, went to photos, and there it was. And she was, "Wow, Grandpa, this is amazing."
So, Amanda, what do you guys see next at Onyx Point as far as what direction are you moving? Are you just going to continue with the educational side of things with open source software?
So we have one more day of FOSFEB, and we have a meetup we'll be hosting tomorrow here in Maryland for our Puppet user group. And then we have many events throughout the year. So in May, we'll actually be at Red Hat Summit. That's in Boston. And we will continue to provide security and system services for government and do DevOps and Puppet professional services for our clients.
So you have some good plans going forward. That's exciting. One day left with...
Yeah, we do. And we're really excited. I think by next year, I think we'll really see a growth in FOSS February. And, we saw a lot of activity from Hortonworks and Red Hat, Puppet, a lot of, pretty big names in open source this year. So we're excited about it.
It is. And anytime I can get my hands on software and just try to break it and see how it actually is written and go forward and try to manipulate it myself.
Right, and that's the beauty of, GitHub and Git, really. You just make a branch and start working on it, and if you break it, you break it, but that's how you learn and you kind of get your hands dirty, so to speak, at a keyboard and start working and contributing. So
right, that way you don't. You always have that original copy, so if you break it, you can just go back to that and start over.
Yeah. Okay, we have a couple minutes left here. I'm choking on water.
You okay?
I went to a Hamfest swap meet this weekend, and pretty much all the ham radio people use open source software to run their packets and that. Are you familiar with any of that?
I know there are a lot of, even if you look at Google, they have the Google Drive and those things are free and available for public use, but we run some of our infrastructure also on open source software too.
Okay, we're about out of time here. I want to thank you, Amanda, for coming on, and it was very enlightening, and we'll be back.
Right now, 19.
Here's Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons on SuperTalk 1270.
Follow the Guru of Geek everywhere he goes. Post your comments or questions at thetechranch.com. Once again, your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
Yeah, Marlo's not here. This is the Tech Geezer, and I'm supposed to introduce these two young pups here, Nick and Doug. Take it away, Sonny.
Thank you, Tech Geezer.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, I got a question for Jim and Doug. First, Jim.
Hello. Yes.
I want to know, how many passwords do you have?
Too many. This
many?
came up over the weekend. We bought. We bought a new pad, a new iPad, because I had one, but my wife wanted her own. And of course, they're very reasonable nowadays. Yep. So we got a second iPad. She got my old one, and I got the new one. And of course, the first problem was I couldn't remember the password for the Wi-Fi in our apartment. I finally found it. I'd written it down on an old envelope, which I had stuck under a big giant pile of papers on the desk with my desktop. Make a long story short, though, yeah, that's always a kind of a hassle for me. Trying to remember which password goes with what.
Yeah. Doug?
Yes.
How many passwords?
I couldn't even begin to tell you, but like Jim, this past weekend, I changed the password on one account 3 times because I couldn't remember what I changed it to.
And it seems like I have a couple accounts, like with Staples, Best Buy, and anyway, I go in. I don't use them that often, and then I go in to use it, and it must be like if you don't use it for a while, it doesn't work. And I got to constantly go in and say, I forgot my password, and then change it. And, passwords are just really, really getting to be a hassle. And most people have them written down. I love it when people bring their computers in for repair, and on their computer is the password.
Right. Well, if you're at home, it's probably not that big a deal.
Yeah. Why even have one? I mean, that's my question. If you're at home, unless it's to keep your children out or something.
Yeah.
But still, it's written right there on the
Keep your kids from looking at the dirty pictures,
Yeah.
Which you shouldn't have on there anyway. But
So anyway,
it's none of my business.
Doug,
Yes,
you
sir.
have an answer for these pesky passwords and how to keep track of them.
I do. What I would recommend is you use the program called LastPass. LastPass. Yep. It's a simple program where you can put all of your username and passwords into across the board, whether it's, I wouldn't recommend using it for like banking, but logging into Facebook, for example, to your email account. You can put all of those in there. And then anytime you want to go into that email account, LastPass will come in and actually put the username and password in for you, and bang, you're in. And so you no longer have to recall that information yourself.
So, but you have to have a password to use LastPass.
I would think so. I haven't actually used it myself.
Yeah. I think Marlo was talking about this at the store
this morning before he took
and
off.
He said that's the one you'd have to remember. So just one
password. Yeah, that's right.
And do you know if that's open source software?
I'm going to think it is. You can download it for free.
So if it's free, it's open source. Another thing about passwords is most people will use like a regular name or a pet's name or just a regular word.
Right.
And I did some research on that for one of the shows here earlier, and it shouldn't be a common name, and it should be letters and characters and numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And, that gets to be where it's hard to remember that stuff. Now, I use a program called Dropbox, and in Dropbox I have a file that I encrypt, and in that file are all these darn passwords.
Don't tell people that, Nick.
Well, yeah, but it's encrypted.
Oh, okay.
Marlo said, well, how do you encrypt it? Well, I'm not going to tell you. So anyway, the password situation is out there, and it's just something that you have to deal with and definitely check out.
Another thing with passwords is what email did you set it up to when you originally did it? And then you have to scratch your head and remember trying to even reset your password. Which account did you use?
Yeah.
So one trick there is just set up a phony account at Gmail or something like that called My Lost Passwords 127, whatever you make it, and just use that for everything.
That's a good tip, yeah. And I see where a lot of times they'll text you a code, so you can go in and do it, and that's probably one good reason to have a smartphone, because you can do text, which I've kind of figured out how to use.
Yeah, if you don't fat finger the keyboard.
Yeah. Okay, here's another problem. Over the years, and Jim, a question to you, has your internet slowed down at your house?
Well, yes, but it has nothing to do with the internet. It has everything to do with all the crap I was putting on my iPad.
That shouldn't have slowed down your internet.
Okay, I mean, it was,
yeah.
I will say this. I mean, like I was just saying, I gave my old iPad to my wife, and the first thing she noticed was everything was slow as molasses.
Okay.
And
a new iPad was faster?
The new iPad's a lot faster. Basically, I had a lot of stuff on it taking up all the space on the old one.
That's interesting.
And once she took all that stuff off for her use, it went a lot better. It smoothed everything out.
When's the last time you changed your router? You have Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah, we have Wi-Fi.
And you have the local internet provider?
Yeah, we haven't touched it since we had it installed about a year and a half ago.
There you go.
Okay.
Do you rent it or do you own it? The router,
I don't know. I know we pay a fee every month for the service.
And what you need to do is call them and get it changed.
Oh, okay.
Literally, it will speed up your internet like you wouldn't believe. How about you, Doug?
Actually canceled all of that.
You canceled all of that?
Yeah.
You don't have internet?
I do, but I use the hotspot
on your phone.
My phone, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know that a lot of times I'll go on service calls and I'll look at it, and they've got the first generation router, that they're using. My goodness, there's 5 or 6 new ones. And then the other thing is, if you go to a rummage sale and somebody's trying to sell you one of the routers from the local service provider, it's worthless. Don't buy it if they gave it to you, because it has to be programmed to your location, and they don't work, the old ones.
It'd be like dial-up today. Wouldn't work with the speeds and the power the PCs have.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who uses dial-up anymore. Well, yeah, I do. There's a few people that live out in a rural community out west that can't get high-speed internet, and they use dial-up. And I love the word. Some of the providers will high-speed dial-up.
Right.
It doesn't exist.
Dial faster.
Yeah,
Dial faster.
Dial faster. Okay, how about your phone? Does anybody's phone go dead during the day, or does it last all day long?
Mine
Mine's
actually-
okay. I haven't had that problem.
Mine too. It pretty much lasts all day.
Yeah.
But I do know that there are people that their battery drains pretty quickly.
Yep.
You have a solution for that?
Would be you can buy a phone battery pack. A lot of the phones, the battery pack will go on the back of your phone, and you can buy it's about the size of a Bic lighter, a little energy pack that you charge and you plug into your phone. And if you're out where the sun is, you can get solar chargers for your phone.
Mm-hmm.
So
Another thing with batteries that I came across here was that, like cars, where they put the fuel pump in the tank now, and they say don't let it get down to 25% tank, a quarter of a tank, because it's not oil in the pump.
Yeah.
Same thing with your batteries on your phones. Don't let them get down below 20 or 30%.
See, years ago, that was reversed. If you charged your battery at half, it remembered that, and it got shorter and shorter and shorter. But with the newer batteries, I guess that doesn't count.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. The other thing is, when you look at your phone, what's all running? I bought my wife a new cell phone, and when she said, I walk into a place and it boings at her, it chimes, and I looked at it, and here there's a bunch of alerts and things running, and then plus she had her screen set as bright as it could get. Well, that all eats up the battery life. Mm-hmm. So you need to look at what's going on with the phone. And
yeah, I lower the brightness considerably on mine because most of the time I'm in bed anyway. And I have the light on, so I don't really need that much light from my
phone,
my pad, or my phone.
Yeah, same way with the iPad.
Yeah.
I've turned that way down too.
And I plug the other thing I do when I'm listening to stuff is I plug my earplugs in, and that way I can turn it down a bit. I don't have to blast it at full volume, which I would have to do if I was just using the speaker, and that saves on the battery.
Okay.
Good tips.
Yep, all of those are good tips. A lot of times people will ask me a question, and my answer, I got this comment the other day. A guy said, I wish I knew what you knew. And I said, well, you do. All you have to do is Google it. That's all I found out. And a lot of these tips and that are out there if you just Google it. And I guess that's it for us.
Yeah.
Hopefully Marlo made it to Minot. And
good luck,
everything
Marlo.
worked out all good. So, and thank you, Jim.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you, Doug.
Amanda.
Yeah, and Amanda.